Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Peter. I'm sorry about my absence. I've been gone for about 4 or 5 months just because I've had uni work to do and all that stuff. But Frank Ocean has been gone for over 4 years at this point. 1,576 days since the recording of this video, to be exact, and yet he remains as relevant as he was when Blonde released, if not more relevant. So how does he manage to pull this off? It's the art of making the fans wait, and I call it an art because I think it really takes a certain type of artist to make your fans wait for music successfully. It's a level of long-lasting cultural impact that is quite difficult for an artist to achieve. We're living in the age of the internet. Instead of having to go to the shop and buy a new album on CD or vinyl, you can go on your phone, open up Spotify or Apple Music or, I don't know, Deezer, and you can listen to a new release the second it comes out. An artist needs to stay super consistent until they finally drop something that people want to listen to for years after its release. Let's take a look at an example to really illustrate what I'm saying. If Lil Pump, whose last album, Harvard Dropout, came out in 2019, if he didn't release his next album for 4-5 years, you know, he pulled a Frank Ocean. If Lil Pump didn't release music for 4 or 5 years, who cares? Who's going to listen to that when it finally comes out? Because his time in the spotlight has come and it's gone. Lil Pump's not super influential. You know, he hasn't dropped a classic album. He hasn't dropped anything that's really going to withstand the test of time. At least I don't think. I don't know if people are going to be bumping Gucci Gang in 10 years. But if we flip that over to a super influential artist like Drake, well, here's what happens. Drake's previous album was Scorpion, which released in June 2018, right? If he pulled a Frank Ocean and didn't release music for 4 to 5 years, everyone is still going to listen to it because he's Drake. He's so culturally omnipresent that anything the dude drops is going to get streams. It's going to get plays. I mean, the dude literally just dropped like a compilation mixtape thing full of like demos and unfinished tracks, which peaked at #2 on the Billboard Hot 100. He can release anything he wants and it's going to get played. And look, I'm not saying that unfinished or leftover or B-side kind of albums can't be really great, but you know, that's a different thing entirely. So the point is, for an artist to reach a point where they can make the fans wait for their music, where they are in control, they can say, no, I want to take some time off, I want to release my album in 3 to 4, maybe even 5 years. That is something that you have to work hard to accomplish. You have to work hard to achieve that. Now, I know what you're thinking. How do Frank Ocean, Kendrick Lamar and Playboi Carti fit into this? I mean, after all, you did put them in the title of the video and you're still yet to mention 2 of them so far. Well, first of all, steady on, mate. And secondly, let's talk about Frank Ocean, because I did mention him at the beginning of this video. Let's go all the way back to 2012 when Frank Ocean released Channel Orange, his debut studio album. So many people, and I mean so many people, fell in love with the dude's voice, his songwriting, his storytelling, and rightfully so, because Channel Orange is a great album that showcases all of these things. The album became super popular, got massively positive critical reception, and fans kept listening to it in the years after its release. In fact, Frank didn't even announce his next album until July 2015, over 3 years later. And he didn't actually go on to release his next album until August 2016, 13 months later, because of like 4 or 5 separate delays. Obviously, the album in question ended up being Blonde, which is one of the most popular and beloved albums of the 2010s. And despite its sound being a lot more stripped back and slightly more loose and experimental, it's even more popular and successful than Channel Orange was. A lot of artists would not be able to release their music in this way, but because of how many people became enamored with the mystique and the cult of personality surrounding Frank Ocean and his music, people desperately wanted to hear what he would do next, and making his audience wait actually made people more interested. And newsflash, the dude's doing it again right now, to a larger extent than what he was doing before. Let's quickly put it into perspective. The gap between the release of Channel Orange and Blonde was 1,502 days, but the gap between Blonde and the day of me recording this video is 1,576 days. And yeah, while this might just be down to Frank Ocean being a really private and reclusive guy who doesn't want to reveal anything about his creative process or his private life, I think he also kind of knows what he's doing. He knows that his biggest fans are desperate to hear new music from him, so at this point, I think he could just drop it as and when, and his fans will listen and they'll love it. Now, what about Kendrick Lamar? It's been almost 4 years now since Damn came out, which is crazy because I remember the day it came out and I was just listening to it non-stop all day. I think that the reason Kendrick is able to leave such a huge gap in between releases is because of how he crafts his albums. In an interview with Time magazine back in 2015, Kendrick said himself that he strives to create albums that have a long-lasting impact on his listeners. In fact, I'll let him explain this in a bit more detail.
It's not really a concept that I would want you to grasp in one day. I want it to live forever, you dig what I'm saying? And To Pimp a Butterfly is one of the moments where 20 years from now, you know, it'll probably be a little bit more prevalent, you know, in your life than it is today.
Notice how he stresses that he doesn't want to make an album that you can listen to in one day, fully digest, and then never really listen to again. No, he wants to create an album that has long-lasting cultural relevance, way past the point of its inception. He even says that To Pimp a Butterfly could be more relevant in 20 years than it was when it came out. And yes, a large part of To Pimp a Butterfly's themes do revolve around Kendrick Lamar and his personal life and his personal struggles, but he also obviously does explore the themes of racial tensions and the black experience. And he does it in a very artful and conceptual way. And you know, we've seen the relevance of To Pimp a Butterfly carry over into 2020 with the rise of the Black Lives Matter movement and the traction that that's finally been gaining. It's not just To Pimp a Butterfly that's had this kind of impact though. It's pretty much Kendrick's entire studio album discography. I mean, look at Section 80, Good Kid Mad City, Damn, even Untitled Unmastered. All of these are hip-hop albums with concepts and narratives and themes that you can listen to over and over again and not get bored. You can always find something new. They can always interest you. Kendrick can drop an album whenever he wants because at the end of the day, we're all going to listen to what he has to say and we're going to realise there's a lot there to unpack until the next one. And finally, I want to talk about Playboi Carti because I suspect that a similar thing is happening to him right now for a completely different reason to the other two. Carti's last album, Die Lit, came out in about May 2018, so it's been about 2.5 years, which isn't even that long of a time to wait, but that's a long time now to people because of the internet apparently. Since then, he's announced his next album, Whole Lotta Red, and has hinted towards it dropping more than once, and we still don't have it. And also there's this whole thing with this Mario Judah guy who's like threatening to release the album himself, or he's like releasing music in Playboi Carti style. It's crazy, mate. It's one of the weirdest album rollouts I think I've ever witnessed. Anyway, there's rumours that the album might be dropping on Christmas Day because it would be like his Christmas gift to his fans. I do think there is something to be said about how addictive a lot of people find Die Lit to be. Of course, it's super minimal and simple because it is Playboi Carti after all, but it gives you this rush and this energy. The production is quite trippy and psychedelic, and even though Playboi Carti is by no metric imaginable a technically gifted rapper, I don't think he's really shooting for that. But the formula that he is shooting for works perfectly for him. And I guess because so many people have been captivated by the energy of Die Lit, we all just want to hear Whole Lotta Red. And I'm one of those people. I want to hear the album as well. Anyway, those have been my thoughts on making the audience wait for new music. What do you think? Do you mind waiting for new music, or would you rather your favourite artist drop a new album every 6 months? Let me know in the comments, and do let me know if you mess with this style of video. I was just kind of experimenting with something new. I thought, you know what, we'll just write it, we'll get it done, we'll get it recorded, and here we are. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Whenever that may be.